Hey everyone, welcome back to the Michael Lofton Show on Reason and Theology. Today we're talking about a situation that just took place where the Catholic Church in Kansas was vandalized by a group of Satanists. I'm going to take a look at the aftermath of this and how it actually connects to a black mass that the Satanists in Kansas want to conduct at the state capitol building in Kansas. We're also going to take a look at the bishop's response, the bishop of the territory, what he has to say about this group of Satanists. So let's go ahead and dive in, and let me remind you, hit that subscribe button. I'm going to share my screen, and let's take a look at the situation. Should be able to see it right around now. Let me first maybe show you the photos of the aftermath here of what has taken place. This was actually posted on Kansas Catholic Conference on Facebook. They say this is the hate crime scene at St. Patrick Catholic Church in Wichita. After forcing their way inside, statues were destroyed, glass smashed, and other extensive damage exacted upon this sacred space. St. Patrick is a predominantly Latino parish situated in a working class neighborhood of north central Wichita. They have a parish school. Parishioners were unable to worship at Mass here Saturday night and may not be able to do so on Sunday. The FBI is investigating a satanic website was scrawled on a wall. This is the face of evil. This is the same type of group that will be holding a satanic worship ritual on the grounds of the Kansas State Capitol on March the 28th. So likely related. Here you could see an image of a statue of St. Patrick that has been smashed. You have candles that have been smashed, other candles here on the altar, some candlesticks that are destroyed, a break in the glass here at the entrance to the sanctuary. So let's take a deeper look at what's going on here in this article from CNA. They say police have arrested a 23-year-old man suspected of heavily vandalizing and defacing the interior of a Catholic parish in Wichita, Kansas over the weekend. So they do have a suspect in custody. According to the Wichita Police Department, officers responded to a reported burglary at St. Patrick Parish on the morning of March 15th. Once inside, the officers discovered extensive vandalism, including damage to statues, candles, and glass, and hate speech graffitied on the walls. In addition, an American flag was burned. By the way, this does come on the heels of a number of attacks that we've seen in Catholic parishes on priests, on Catholic altars. We saw several attacks on priests just a few weeks ago. We saw St. Peter's Basilica being yet again a situation where the altar there, the high altar, was desecrated and attacked by an individual. So this comes on the heels of that. And it says St. Patrick's, which includes a parish school, is located in north central Wichita and predominantly serves the Latino community. Authorities said that Wichita Police Department investigators launched a full-scale investigation alongside the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. So at approximately 2:20 a.m. on Sunday, officers located and arrested the suspected perpetrator, whom they described as being from the Saline County, about 100 miles north of Wichita. The man, who has not been publicly identified, has been booked into the Sedgwick County Jail on charges of burglary, criminal desecration, and criminal damage to the property. I suspect they had video, because if he's 100 miles away from the location, it would seem that they had to have identified him on video or something for them to make an arrest. So I suspect the parish has cameras. The Kansas Catholic Conference, which represents the state's bishops posted photos on social media of the hate crime scene. One of the destroyed statues appeared to be an image of the parish's patron, St. Patrick. After forcing their way inside, statues were destroyed, glass smashed, and other extensive damage exacted upon the sacred space. A satanic website was written on the wall. This is the face of evil, they say. So, despite having to move masses to the school gym over the weekend, the parish was still able to hold its St. Patrick Day parade on Sunday to honor its namesake saint. CNA reached out to the Diocese of Wichita for comment, but did not hear back. St. Patrick's vandalism comes amid considerable controversy in Kansas over a satanic organized black mass. So that's part two of the story here. This is connected to that. A blasphemous mockery of the Catholic Mass slated to take place on March 28th. So it hasn't happened yet, but it's supposed to. At the Kansas State Capitol. Actually, it's supposed to be outside of it. We're going to take a look at the comment from the governor of Kansas here in a moment. A Catholic-led petition asking Governor Laura Kelly to shut down the event has attracted nearly 40,000 signatures. The governor is not going to shut it down, though. Chuck Weber, executive director of the Kansas Catholic Conference, told CNA on Monday that there is presently no evidence that the vandalism incident in Wichita is in any way connected to the satanic worship ritual planned for March 28th. Well, maybe there's no hard evidence, but seems circumstantial, right? It seems there's a connection here of some sorts, right? An address for a satanic website was left behind at St. Patrick's, but it does not refer to the same group planning to come to Topeka, he said. Weber previously told CNA that the organizer of the group planning the Black Mass, Michael Stewart, has been telephoning the Catholic Conference for the purpose of taunting me and the bishops, even texting Weber personally to harass him and boast of his intentions to, quote, kill Jesus, end quote. So this person who's organizing it is contacting Catholics, taunting them, mocking them, telling them that, you know, he's going to desecrate Jesus in this Black Mass. Stewart gave an interview to local news last week in which he described the Mass as an act of protest against authority. And it says the group plans to hold its ritual inside the Capitol building, despite Kelly decreeing they must remain outdoors. He also said the group plans to blasphemously parody the Stations of the Cross. And of course, the Black Mass is a parody of the Catholic Mass. It's kind of a reversal of it and a mockery of it. So it seems they're going to do a mockery version of the Stations of the Cross. So here's what the governor says. Kansas governor says Black Mass must take place outside the state capitol building. Although, again, the group is saying they're going to defy this and still do it inside. I don't know how that's going to go. Amid outcry from Catholics over a Black Mass slated to take place at the Kansas State Capitol building on March 28th, Governor Laura Kelly on Wednesday said she has limited authority to cancel the event, instead decreeing that the event must take place outside and not inside the building itself. Now, let's just assume for a moment that that's true, that the governor really doesn't have the authority to cancel the event. Is that a problem? It seems like it. Shouldn't the governor have that kind of authority? Well, this is going to allegedly fall under freedom of religion and expressing oneself and freedom of speech. But I'll point out that the Catholic Church teaches there are limits to such things. And the limit is whenever it harms the common good. And does the Black Mass harm the common good? The Satanic Grotto, the Kansas group purportedly organizing the March 28th Black Mass, says the event is intended to dedicate the grounds and our legislature to the glory of Satan, end quote. The group will be performing rites and indulging in sacrilegious blasphemy. Satanist groups intending to stage so-called Black Masses, a direct mockery of the Catholic Mass, have on at least one occasion boasted of possessing a stolen consecrated host with an intent to desecrate the Eucharist in an unspecified but profane ritual. So they're supposed to have a consecrated Eucharist that they stole from a Catholic Mass, and then they desecrate it during the Black Mass. Not very hard for them to get a hold of a consecrated host these days. I've seen many instances where some people have walked away with the host. Now, in Each of the cases that I saw in multiple places in Rome and also here in Monroe, Louisiana, um, somebody did go up and approach them. In fact, on one occasion, I went and approached the individual. Um, but I've seen this before. In each of the cases, the person was approached, but you can imagine there are plenty of instances where the person is not approached, people are not paying attention, and so it's relatively easy to just kind of walk away with it and then use it in a black mass. A petition launched by a Catholic group asking Kelly to shut down the event claims to have attracted nearly 34,000 signatures as of Wednesday. In a March 12th statement, Kelly said she shares many of the concerns Catholics have raised about the Black Mass, noting there are more constructive ways to protest and express disagreements without insulting or denigrating sacred religious symbols. However, as governor, I also have a duty to protect protesters' constitutional rights to freedom of speech and expression, regardless of how offensive or distasteful might find the content to be. So this is kind of the end result of the American system here, where this kind of stuff is protected by the government. And so it really makes you question the system itself. When the system itself protects this kind of behavior, is there a flaw in the system? Or are we going to keep saying everything's fine, this is a great system, and we're going to keep promoting that perspective? Or are we going to say, you know what, I think this has gone too far and this stuff shouldn't be protected, and here's why. And take a look at, for instance, Dignitatis Humanae from the Second Vatican Council and how it notes there are limits to freedom of religion. And the limit is whenever it harms society, whenever it's not for the benefit of society, when it's not for the common good. Since these rights are constitutionally protected, the governor's office has limited authority to respond to such actions, Kelly continued, in the interest of keeping the Capitol open and accessible to the public while ensuring all necessary health and safety regulations are enforced. However, Kelly said the Black Mass event will need to take place outside on the Capitol grounds rather than inside the building itself. No protests will be allowed inside the State House on March 28th. Chuck Weber, executive director of the Catholic Conference in Kansas, was unimpressed with Kelly's response, telling CNA in a statement that her March 12th message reeks of condescension and a willful ignorance about what is scheduled to happen. Make no mistake, a vile and despicable satanic worship ritual has been approved to take place on the grounds of the Kansas State Capitol building, the People's House. Moving it from the living room to the front porch changes nothing, Weber says. Where's the condemnation of this provocative expression of hatred and anti-Catholic bigotry, he said. Weber also informed CNA that the organizer of the group planning the Black Mass has been telephoning the Catholic Conference for the purpose of taunting me and the bishops, even texting Weber personally to harass him and boast of his intentions to, quote, kill Jesus. The group has engaged in an anti-Catholic political protest in the past, including recently at the Kansas March for Life. For their part, Catholic bishops of the state are urging the faithful to counter the planned event through prayer, good works, such as seeking out to volunteer opportunities with Catholic charities, and by contacting their lawmakers to ask them to shut down the event. To which I have to say, okay, what law can they, raise here? What law can they cite? I thought this is protected by the system. If true, this explicit demonstration of anti-Catholic bigotry will be an insult to not only Catholics, but all people of goodwill. Spiritual and legal responses are being explored. To which I would again ask, what are those legal responses? Are there any? If this is protected by the government as a amendment. The Catholic bishops of Kansas ask that first and foremost we pray for the conversion of those taking place in this event, as well as each person's own conversion of heart during the sacred season of Lent. The Kansas Catholic Conference will continue to update the faithful as the situation unfolds. A nearby Benedictine college announced March 10 that students and staff will be dedicating the month's weekly holy hours, rosaries, and memorare prayers to the intention of the conversion of those involved in the sacrilegious event and the intention that the faith will grow in Kansas. Catholic opposition to black mass events has a history of success in recent years. Last October, Catholics in Atlanta were outraged and called to prayer when a black mass event was announced by the Satanic Temple, a provocative Salem, Massachusetts-based political organization that denies belief in the supernatural and is known for protesting religious symbolism in public spaces. So after legal action by the Atlanta Archdiocese, the Satanic Temple admitted it did not have a consecrated host and did not intend to use one in its mass. And in 2014, a planned black mass at Harvard University sparked considerable outcry from Catholics, as did another one later that year in Oklahoma City, which I think we actually covered in an episode on this show. The latter led to a successful lawsuit from the Oklahoma City Archdiocese against an occult group that claimed to have obtained a consecrated host, leading to the host's safe return. Yeah, that was the one we covered. We spoke of the occasion where they returned the consecrated host. So, I don't think this one is going to let up. I think it's going to continue to happen. And if this is protected by the government as protected free speech and freedom of religion, you can expect a whole lot more of these to come. So again, it kind of brings us back to the question, should this be protected? Is this really the intention of what the founding fathers had whenever they wanted to have freedom of religion? Is this really the intention, or is it an abuse of the system? And might it need to be reformed more in tune with what Vatican II is saying, where there are limits to freedom of speech and freedom of religion in the public square, specifically whenever it harms the common good. In fact, I've covered that multiple times in several shows. Perhaps I'll put a link to it in the show notes, and you can go and take a look at what Vatican II has said on this in Dignitatis Humanae. It does appear that the Catholic position is a little different than the American governmental system, which I think a lot of American Catholics may not be familiar with. They might tend to think that the Catholic position and the American position are the same, and in fact, they're not. In fact, I see numerous American Catholics online assuming that the positions are the same, and that just does not appear to be the case. The perspective of the magisterium appears to be different. So, I hope y'all have appreciated me covering this information and providing this news to you. If you have, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you would like to see more of these. Also, check out the episode that I just did yesterday. I'll give you the name of it so you can go and just type it in and check it out, and also put a link to it in the show notes. I think you might be interested in it. It's called "Did the Catholic Church Contradict Itself on the Death Penalty?" You might want to check that one out. I think that you'll find it pretty interesting, because what I did is I took a few PowerPoints from the lecture that I gave last night with CPU, and I went over the question of the death penalty and some of the apparent tensions that you can find in some things that some first millennium popes taught, and other things that more recent popes like John Paul II, Benedict, and Pope Francis have taught on the death penalty. And so we discussed some of those tensions there. I think you might want to check it out if you're interested in today's topic. So certainly go and watch that one. And again, like I said, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want to support the channel, a great way to do it is patreon.com/Reason and Theology. I do want to remind you all also, since it's a new website, let me maybe just share my screen and show it to you. If you want to check out the courses that I'm making available for you all, for example, on the first 7 ecumenical councils, go to rtcourses.com, where you can check out the different courses that I have, and also free ebooks. I got a free ebook on church chaos, another one on top 10 lies about Pope Francis exposed. There's some standalone lessons, but several courses there on dogmas, doctrine, and heresies, 7 ecumenical councils, logical fallacies, and apologetics, and more courses to come. So be aware of that, rtcourses.com, if you're interested in any of those. And one other thing, make you aware of another new website. This is going to be rtmerchstore.com if you're interested in any Reason and Theology of Michael Lofton show merch. I do now have a website with that, so you can go get your stickers, coffee mugs, t-shirts, all that good stuff. And again, my personal favorite, easily distracted by books, t-shirts, and mugs. You got to get those. So go and check that out if you want to get your R&T merch. That's rtmerchstore.com. I got a link to both of those in the show notes. All right, y'all. That's going to do it for today. We'll see you later. God bless. Hey, have you been benefiting from this channel, but you're not supporting it?
You're definitely guilty.
Get over to patreon.com/Reason and Theology and support this channel if you've been benefiting from the content.
Did I say get it done now?
I mean right now.
And if you can't support the show financially, you should at least be subscribed, right? Am I right or am I right?
Yeah, I think he's right.
I'm right. So go and hit the subscribe button right now. Are you seeking clarity in the midst of confusion about Eastern Orthodoxy and Catholicism? In my book, Answering Orthodoxy, I offer a biblical and historical response to the most common objections that Eastern Orthodox offer against the Catholic Church. This book is for anyone searching for the truth, whether you're Catholic, Orthodox, or simply trying to make sense of the differences between Catholics and Orthodox. Order your copy today and discover the rational, biblical, and historical basis for the Catholic Church. Visit Amazon to order your copy today.